put the work in. Let's go.
Is that a maybe or is that a hard no that you don't want a donut right now?
You know I want a donut. I don't want it right now because then he's going to stop recording. He's going to go in there. It's going to take like a half hour.
I can have it delivered here.
I know he just peed too, so he'll probably have pee hands.
No.
I don't want my donut coming back in here smelling like your balls. I just don't.
I just showered this morning.
Again, I don't want my donut
and
coming in here
and then
smelling
sat
like
on them for 4 hours in that sweaty ass cloth seat you have.
No, it's fine.
All the farts that you push into that seat.
No, they're dry as can be.
No, that seat is farty, bro.
It's not.
Farty.
It's not.
The food you eat, there's no way. It smells like burnt gas station hot dogs in that seat.
I heard you were hiring a trainer.
Oh, are you hiring a trainer?
And getting a meal plan.
Oh, you meant trainee. Are you
tranny?
Tranny? You're hiring a tranny? What for?
Training.
Training? Cool. That's cool.
All right. What's up, guys? John and Scully Pulling the Thread podcast, episode 41.
Oh, 41? Is it? Mm-hmm. Man, the time just flies by.
Is 40 up?
40 is ready to go right now. We're going to load it today. So
nice.
And 39 is up, and 38 is on Patreon.
Yep.
And Patreon. Patreon's the place to be.
They get everything.
Patreon is the place for me.
They get everything.
So what's going on? What's happening in the world? What do you want to talk about?
Nothing.
What's on your mind?
Not really anything.
Other than you being the real estate investment king.
I would love to be the real estate investment king. I need somebody that's offshore that has like a what do you call it that everybody had in the 80s, an offshore bank account somewhere in the Bahamas.
You just need somebody with a laser, bro.
Or a laser.
They could just laser places that you want to buy. Apparently, there's a lot of that happening.
There could be. You never know.
Did you see the laser thing I sent you where they're cutting trees down with that fucking thing? Yeah, it's in your private messaging.
I did not see that where they were cutting trees down with a laser.
Yes, apparently there's a lot of lasers on the markets you can buy.
This is the ignorance. The beautiful thing about how dumb liberal Democrats are. This is the beautiful thing about it. We need to plant more trees in order to offset carbon. And then when Bill Gates goes, I'm going to cut all the trees and bury them in the ground, everybody's like, yay!
Yeah. 70,000 acres apparently.
makes literally 0 sense. Because he wants everybody to die.
That's literally the truth. Have you seen the Experian? Is it Experian?
The Experian commercial.
Have you seen the commercial? It was the commercial came out and aired during Davos. I actually saw it this morning. It popped up on YouTube. And this lady's like Vervo or something, right? They found some sweet deal to go to this island resort. And she walks in and all these whales are at a table like around a pool or something, and they have hoods on like Obi-Wan Kenobi and shit, and they're making all these gargling noises and shit. And they're like, it's so nice now that the peasants can't be here. And she comes walking up and they're like, now that we've made it so expensive to travel, we have the whole island to ourselves. And she walks up and they're like, how'd you get here? And she's like, Vervo or whatever the commercial was for. Yeah, but that's literally what it is.
It's the same one. Like I'm sure they have multiple commercials, but I am surprised. I think it's Kayak actually.
Maybe so.
I am actually surprised that someone hasn't been like.
One of them's got a monocle and shit. They look just like Klaus Schwab.
I am surprised that somebody hasn't been like, you need to take that shit down. Kayak, hey, I know what's going to happen because you're playing these whale commercials that make all the uber rich people look dumb because they are. You're about to get bought out.
Have you seen the uniforms they wear at these places for their ceremonies and shit?
No.
It looks like some fucking Star Trek shit. It's not even cool shit. Like it used to be. When you were in the Skull and Bones, you had the cool fucking cape with the Skull and Bones, or when you were in the Odd Fellows, they had kind of like Renaissance period clothing, like, pirates and shit that they were going to, like in a play. Like I have a bunch, we see that stuff for sale at the antique places comes up as the lodges close down. But this shit that they're making now, I don't know who the fuck's building these costumes.
I don't understand, like... I don't know. I guess it's because I'm not in that world. Like I'm not in that world. I'm not in that club.
Well, I think
I cannot I could not even. I could, like, for example, I'll use Bill Gates because he's an evil mastermind that wants to kill everyone. I could not, at his level of wealth and power, if you were like, bro, I know you think you're powerful, but if you put on this costume and go in the woods and come watch us burn fires around this crazy ass owl, you're going to be even more powerful. Now,
well, they said that's all like gay ritualistic shit.
of course,
it's
rich people.
It's all gay stuff.
I just can't. I don't understand. I couldn't understand to the point where I would be like, you only put on a Star Wars costume and go hang out in the woods with a bunch of other eccentric, weird, rich people. Be like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to go over here and cut a bunch of trees down and bury them in the ground.
I wonder what Elon Musk is. Is Elon Musk?
No,
at
they don't.
These things?
They don't invite Elon. The problem with Elon, like even if Elon was on their side, like if he was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy up all this farmland and then just turn it and then just salt it so nobody could ever use it again. He wouldn't, like, they would be like, bro, you're a little too autistic. you can't come. Like, I can't see Elon putting on I mean, I see, don't get me wrong.
He's wearing some costumes, man.
Don't get me wrong. I see Elon putting on a Star Trek costume and going around in his fake Star Trek Enterprise and beaming people up.
I see Elon
doing that because he thinks it's funny.
I see him putting on like an actual Iron Man suit.
Maybe. I mean, I think he keeps his
or the dude over in Europe that built the TIE fighter and he built the AT-AT, right, for his kid's backyard and shit. I see Elon showing up in a real AT-AT and then just pew 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 pew, like actually blowing some people.
It would be
up.
really cool if he actually was secretly using all that government money to build a.
Do you think he's not?
No, I don't think so. No, I think Elon really, 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 really wants to go to Mars.
Did you see that the NATO's mad at him right now?
NATO? Oh yeah, because he turned off Starlink.
Well, no, I don't know if he turned it off, but they wanted him to extend Starlink because NATO was trying to run a Pearl Harbor on Russia's fucking fleet while it was in harbor, and he said, Russia has already said, if you bomb our fleet in harbor, we will launch nuclear weapons at the United States. He said, we're not putting that on. He said, I just had a feeling that this was going to start World War III. We don't have any declaration of war against Russia. I'm not doing this.
It's a crazy thing when your technology, when you it's like I don't know. It's like if you built a piece of kit that became you built a thing, right? A pouch, even just a widget that became critical in a way for a war effort one way or the other, right? And what if the piece of kit that you built was critical for the war effort but for the other guys? It's just that's the problem. And the thing that's interesting about this, nobody had a problem when companies were banning people and they're like, hey, we're going to ban him because he said bad language. Elon's trying to stop World War III.
Nobody had a problem when he turned off all the Teslas in Russia either.
No, of course
they didn't care when that happened.
They didn't care, but it's
or when they fucking locked down and took all those people's fucking money around the world.
Just have you seen the Starlink satellites moving across the skyline?
I've not seen. I've seen people post pictures and stuff of it.
That's damn near crazy.
Apparently, they can actually get up and write words in the sky and shit.
Yeah, it's just crazy that how many of those damn things he's put up there.
Wait till they start crashing.
I believe that.
Like, wait till they start coming back down to
No, but
Earth.
I believe that they're small enough that
they're not going to destroy a fucking city.
Yeah, they're not. It's not like the old days.
It's not like an asteroid or a meteorite hitting.
No, it's not like the old days when we used to put fucking huge piles of junk up in space so we could boop 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 boop. You know, the Starlinks aren't as big, and I don't think they make it through reentry.
I wonder what it would take to shut all those down. Like if China shot an EMP bomb up there or something, detonated up in orbit, would it shut everything down? I wonder what the radius of that piece of munitions is.
You know, the thing with satellites is
curvature.
It's curvature. There's a, look the number up.
Yeah.
Look up the number of Starlink satellites. I think it's well
They're
in the
actively
hundreds.
launching them all the time.
But I mean, I think it's maybe even close to 1,000. Could you create a blackout spot? You could probably create a blackout spot where you detonate
4,519.
Yep. You could probably create a blackout spot where, as the Earth rotates, you're going to have the spot where there's no satellite communication. The problem with the Chinese doing that is then it also destroys all their comlink. None of that stuff is shielded. So anything you can't just take out Starlink and not take out your with an EMP type blast, nuclear,
right.
whatever. So you'd be taking out your own shit.
Have you seen? Have you noticed Trump still rolls around with a full motorcade and Secret Service detail? And everything?
Well, yeah, it's all presidents do.
They don't. All presidents do not. Apparently, Trump is the only one that still has like a full-blown detail, as though he's still the president. There's a dude. I was listening.
I don't think that's true.
Bradley Davis, gym guy. Looks kind of like Pierre, but in like really good shape.
Yes.
Okay, so he had a dude on this morning I was listening to, and I only listened to it was a short. It was made into a short. And he was saying they got to interview Trump. They sat down face to face with Trump. And the question they'd asked was, how do you still have a Secret Service detail that's as though you are still the active president of the United States? Who affords this? And the speculation is that it is because you actually are still the president of the United States. And Trump right then goes, we're not going to discuss that. You're not going to air that, and you're going to delete that from the video. And he said when they were done in it, they never talked about it. So I don't know. I didn't see the video.
I don't know if that's true, because every president has a Secret Service detail. Every president, like Bush isn't in a Honda fucking Civic driving to the mall. It just doesn't happen.
What's up with Jeb Bush? I guess he's still on the picture.
Yeah, I'm sure he's the last of that dynasty, so he would love to get elected to something special.
Because he's impotent and didn't have any children.
He just didn't have the flash that everybody else did. Interesting thing about Trump, though, that again is probably going to get us banned. Do you know that people who actually walked into a voting booth and showed their ID, so every state within America, to include California, people who walked into a voting booth and showed their ID, Trump won every one of those states.
Yep.
That's
why they need to have another lockdown.
They had 23,000 mail-in votes, or 23 million mail-in votes the election before. They had 69 million mail-in votes this election.
Well, they got a fucking problem this time.
So that's fucking... you're saying that the one way that we can check and verify, and then the other one we can't check and verify, that's the one that Biden won.
Have you seen this Latinos for Trump?
No. But,
okay, there's a couple rap videos. I thought it was 6ix9ine. I didn't know it wasn't 6ix9ine until I was reading through thousands of comments last night, and somebody goes, "Oh shit, I thought that was 6ix9ine," and I'm like, "Oh, it's not 6ix9ine, like Karashi or whatever, 6ix9ine." It's another dude with fucking tattoos on his face like that. Rap's okay, rap's pretty good. And I was reading the comments, but all of the fucking comments on there are all fucking Latino and black people, and they're like, "Yep, we're voting for Trump. I didn't fucking know this. I didn't like." You can see it flesh out in somebody will make a comment and there'll be 70, 80 like replies on there. If you want to know what's really fucking going on, just fucking start fleshing out and reading some of the comments. Look at the pages, see how many posts they have. Look at if they have other content put up there. But man, it's like fucking wildfire right now. It's not, and it's all these black folks and Mexican dudes wearing fucking MAGA hats. It's fucking huge. There's a whole genre. It's called MAGA rappers. It's a whole fucking big genre of this.
First off, the Democrats didn't win last time.
Oh, I'm with you 100%.
So
if they're going to ban us for saying some shit, then we're probably saying the right shit.
Yeah, they didn't win last time. So the problem is, here's the problem. The problem, that's the thing about Democrats. They're their own worst enemy. They're
racist. They're everything they accuse everyone else of.
They're telling everybody they're the party to believe in, and at night they're putting their hoods on and riding horses through the fucking neighborhoods. They always do this where they're like they put their foots in their mouth. Like literally, if what they should have done day one, as soon as Biden got elected, is they should have been the party of straight and narrow. They should have been like, hey, guess what? We're gonna do the party. We're gonna do everything we said we were gonna do, and we're gonna cut all this crazy shit out of the loop because in 4 years is gonna be another election. But instead of being the party of straight and narrow, instead of being the party of America, they became the party of the far left, and they've showed everyone how fucking lunatic they are. They've exposed, like, this didn't happen during Trump. This happened during Biden. They completely exposed how corrupt the DOJ is. They've completely exposed how corrupt the FBI is. They've shown that the ATF has no, that they don't give a shit about law.
Do you know about redlining?
It's terrible. Yeah, I know about redlining.
Right. Who put that all in place?
What do you mean?
Who came up with redlining?
Democrats.
Right. And we still have kind of a modern day redlining with the food, deserts and shit in the hoods. There's a lady who was, I believe she was actually currently active in prison, and black lady, and somebody got her story to Trump. Mm-hmm. And Trump sent some people down. She was in prison, I believe in Atlanta, and he actually pardoned her. She got out like years. She was looking at 17 years or something. She'd been in for 4 years. Her story got to Trump, and I think I know who you're talking about. He pardoned her. She's running for some position in Atlanta right now, and she spoke. I don't know what day it was. Maybe Martin Luther King Day, maybe not. But she was speaking. She's like, everybody says he's racist. Let me tell you how fucking racist this guy was. And like I was almost like tearing up when she was telling the story. I'm like, holy shit. And it's just wild, man. Reading all those comments from all these black folks, that's what they're saying. They're like, we always thought Trump was a fucking racist.
And they got that from the Democrats.
Yes, absolutely.
Where do you when you were...
Those are low information voters, and they are fucking waking up because we have a Democrat. You have Joe Biden in office, right? How's your fucking bank account look right now? How's your fucking gas tank look? How's your fucking refrigerator look?
Forget about that. Those are, when you think about that, John, forget about those things because those are, I don't want to say middle-class American problems, but they are, everything you just said is a middle-class.
Do you know, I heard the average U.S. citizen makes less than $30,000 a year?
Probably.
Look that up for me and see what that says. Because I thought those were super old numbers.
Those are middle-class problems. When you say that to people that are, not middle class in the poverty area, right? When you're talking about people that live in the hood, not saying that everybody that lives in the hood is poor, but when you're talking about the underserved communities, when we say fucking gas prices, when we say food in the refrigerator, we are talking about things that are everyday problems in lower income communities, right? And so when we're complaining about that shit, it doesn't affect the voting swings of lower income because that's the way it always is, right? So it's a problem that is a real problem, but it's always a problem.
So what is their problem when the Democrats are in charge?
The issue.
What changes for them?
Nothing changes for them, and that should be the issue. The issue is, it doesn't matter. When we talk about how many carrots are in the refrigerator. How is your community? What have they done for your fucking community? And the reality is the Democratic Party has not done anything for that community for 50 years.
So Frisella talks a lot about St. Louis, right? That's where he's at. And there's a lot of, there's some low income, middle income stuff. And they've just been pushing migrants in there, illegals in there, to the point where the people in the neighborhoods are having uprisings and they're showing up to city meetings and stuff. And they're actually trying to go to the town hall meetings, and they have fucking put police out like 6, 8, 10 blocks out, and they're not able to get in to show up to protest.
And you know what the problem? Here's the problem.
And these are the same places they're talking about making these people law enforcement.
Here's the problem with those underserved communities. Okay, so if you're living in an underserved community and I'm not.
Say it. Just go.
Well, I'm not gonna I don't want to make this seem like a terrible job, but let's say you're a bus driver in that underserved community.
Dude, we're in such an underserved community here. We don't even have a fucking bus.
That you're in that community and you're getting up every day and you're working hard and you're a bus driver or a trash collector or whatever you're doing in that community. And you're trying to make it, right? When the federal government brings all those people in there and drop them into your town, those people are actually getting a free check. They're getting a free check of $2,000+.
Yep.
That's per family member.
Yep.
So what that does is it puts a lot of money into a totally underserved area, which means it's very quickly that area will turn into whatever they put there. Meaning, like, for example, I'll use El Cajon, California as an example.
Iraqis.
Well, it's Iraqis, but it's more important, or not more importantly, I guess it doesn't matter. They're Chaldeans. So it's a Christian group from the Middle East, or from Iraq. And
but they do not like normal people from that area.
But what did they do? I mean, what would you
took down all the English signs?
What would you do? Like, let's just say we have to flee the United States, and they take a bunch of us and put us in fucking any place in the world, Tokyo, Japan, for instance. If the government is giving us a check, all our family members are getting a check. We're going to immediately buy up as much of that area as we possibly can, and we're going to make it as much as home as we can. It's like when people talk about Minneapolis and Little Somalia. They turned a section, they put all those people in there, and they turned that place into Somalia. They didn't turn it into America.
Do you think that's kind of how? Do you think that's kind of how? I mean, we didn't. I guess they did kind of bring Chinese people over for the railroads, right? But you have like every major city has like a Chinatown, a Japanese town, yes. But I think the most famous one is probably San Francisco, right? You go to Chinatown. Do you think that's how that happened? They just kind of, a bunch of them came together?
Totally different back then.
Okay.
Right, totally different. Like the Chinatown in San Francisco, that would be immigrants that moved to an area and created a town. These things that are happening now in the United States are...
It looks like what's happening.
Forced.
It looks like what's happening over in France.
Yeah, but they are government forced. So meaning, I'm going to use El Cajon as an example, just because you can go look at this right now.
And when you say El Cajon, right, we have 2, 3, 4 city blocks in our head.
El Cajon's big.
Yeah, I'll bet you that area is way fucking bigger now.
Yeah, it's big. And again, I'm not faulting this. I'm not faulting the Somalis. I'm not faulting the Chaldeans or the Iraqis. They're doing what any people would do if they were getting free money put into an area that was somewhat suppressed. El Cajon wasn't that bad, but somewhat suppressed. Of course, they're going to buy up as much real estate as they can. And if you want, if you want customers to come buy your falafels, of course you're going to put it in Arabic because you want them to know, or whatever language, Somali, you're going to start advertising that way because you want people to come buy your shit. And that's who all lives there, because the government has forced those people to all be in that area.
Are you and I welcome to walk inside there?
Oh yeah. I mean, I will say El Cajon. I don't know if I would go. Sorry, Minnesota. I don't know if I would go cruising around Little Somalia.
Did you see the mayor of New York?
Yeah, bitching that he's got too many immigrants.
He's like, everybody needs to eat a vegetable-powered diet. I am a prime example of a peak pinnacle of health, and he can't, he's got all kinds of shit wrong with him, I guess.
Of course he does.
He was crying that all the immigrants are ruining the city, and it's your fault, motherfucker. You were the. Look, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure he's just a puppet. Look, somebody had their hand up his ass.
Here's the other fact about Democrats. Every Democrat is for open borders and illegal immigration until the tents are in their backyard. Once the tents are in their backyard, then it's like, oh my God, call the police. Let's burn these places down.
There's a bunch of YouTube channels that are going around showing the cities where they've pushed all these people in, and they're showing them literally just camped out. Like you walk into the police station and you can't walk. There's literally just people on blankets. It smells like fucking toilets in there. It's just literally it's like a homeless encampment, but inside all of the city buildings.
And those are all Democrat-run cities.
Yeah.
That's not you can't. I've had some people reach out to me and like, that's not that's not me, right? It's not me. I'm a Democrat, but that's not how I feel.
People that listen to this,
yeah, how I feel, because I know some older people. I say that, and I'm old, but the problem is you can't.
But older people are not modern day Democrats. Older people
I know
Democrat.
I think that's the problem,
because that's what hardworking people used to be called Democrats.
I think that's the problem. The problem is
the modern Democrats are crazy liberal wackos.
I think that's the problem. Is you have these, for lack of a better term, rhino Democrats that are still believing the party line of JFK, and they don't realize that there's nobody in the party that, like, the Democrat Party would not nominate John F. Kennedy to be the president of the United States today.
They're not nominating RFK.
Yeah. So they don't. I think that's the problem with most intelligent, thinking Democrats is they're holding on to something. They're holding on to this past idea, which again, I hate to say it. You're the party of the Ku Klux Klan. You're the party of segregation. You don't. There's nothing that the Democrats have ever done for anybody.
The Jim Crow laws, right? Those were all Democrat states.
All Democrats.
Do you know who Larry Elders is?
Yeah, I know who Larry Elders is.
So he's running for something again. He actually had enough votes to be. He had enough people on his signed his petition or whatever it was to be on the Republican. When all the Republicans spoke and Trump didn't show up, Elders was supposed to be there. He had all the numbers. They actually fucking pulled some shady shit to keep him off of there. He was on Valuetainment yesterday with Bet David. I sent you that. Did you watch that video? So he was a Army colonel. He was did something out of San Diego, held some position in San Diego. Just the things he says, and that's what he talks about. He said, I hated my father because my father was so hard on us. He, spanked us really hard and everything. And he said, my father, I grew up hating him. And he said, then I actually met with him and I went to just talk to him. And I wanted to talk to him just for a few minutes, just to tell him how much he fucking made my life miserable. And he said, we ended up talking for 8 hours. And he actually wrote a book out of this. And it was called 2 Men, 8 Hours. I don't remember the name of the book. But he says, my father grew up working all the time. Held multiple jobs, worked all the time, no matter what was going on. And he'd come home from a miserable fucking day and he took it out. He was grumpy and he took it out on me and my brother. And he said, my father told me a lot of things I didn't know. And he said that his father was in the military, came back from the military, got the only jobs he could get. And a lot of places wouldn't hire him. He said, because of the Jim Crow laws, they just wouldn't give him a job. You're not qualified. Qualified to make pancakes? I made pancakes for everybody in the United States Navy.
That was a big push for the minimum wage too.
Yeah. So
push.
He says, I went to this job hiring place, and I walk in the door, and she's like, "Oh, you came in the wrong door." So he's like, "Okay." So I walk out and go in the other door, and it's the same fucking lady at the same counter. I literally just walked through the wrong door. So I'm here for a job. Well, we don't have much. Okay, well, I'll sit here. What time do you open? 9. What time do you close? 5. Okay, I'll sit here until something's got to show up, right? And finally, after a few days of waiting or whatever, she's like, okay, I have this, but you're not going to want it. And he's like, okay, I'll take it. Of course I'll take it, whatever it is. So he's working and working and working. And something happened where he had to go out to San Diego for something. And he's like, I'm out in San Diego, and all of a sudden I can be served in a restaurant with white people. In California, it's not the same thing. It wasn't fucking happening like it was, back east. But that's how he ended up in San Diego, he said. But it was just a very interesting story. It's yesterday on Valuetainment. It's well worth listening to. Larry Elders has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which I found interesting. I don't remember what he said it was for. But they call him the black face of white supremacy. They hate him. He's he's as black as you can get.
Imagine a bunch of Democrats not liking a black guy.
And he is so fucking funny. Even if you have no interest in what he's saying, He's so well spoken, and holy shit, he has these fucking numbers in his head when he talks about gun violence, and he's like, "Look, it's not a crime problem. It's a family. It's absence of the father problem." Yes. He said all of these crimes, when we add father, single parent, double parent households, all of that changes.
That's one of the pillars. That's one of the pillars of the current Democrat Party, is to destroy the nuclear family. The whole idea behind everything that they're doing with, transitioning children without parents, without parents'
to
approval.
Destroy families.
It's to destroy the nuclear family. That's what they did to the African American community all throughout the 60s and 70s. Destroyed. That's what the crime bill was about. If Biden's crime bill. If fathers are all in jail, we're going to create a whole nother class of individuals who.
You also have slave labor.
Yeah, it's there. I hate to say it, but man,
look at privatized prisons.
It's pretty hard. I don't want to say you're evil, but again, if you're a Democrat, you need to take a hard look on what you have been doing with your vote and what it has been doing to this country. You cannot name a single thing that the Democrats have put forward that it has improved the lives of the communities that they're trying to serve. All you've done is put millions and millions of people into slavery, whether that's through EBT cards or.
He brought that up too. He's like, we take a mom and we tell her we'll give you $1,000, and then every kid you get $1,000, and you can't have the father there.
So now you can't be present.
Now you've got a woman with multiple children. No man wants to raise somebody else's multiple children.
Yeah,
so
multiple fathers.
Yep, and then it's incentivized when you hit up those fathers for child support. You charge them child support that they can't pay, and then the feds fucking double the money that's collected off of the child support. So it's financially incentivized to keep people in a position that they can't crawl out of. And you could crawl out of it, right? How many fucking Chrysler 300s or Challengers are in the fucking hood with $10,000 rims on them? It's priorities, but they take that money away, right? So like the mom, if she gets $1,000 per kid, that's 3 kids, that's $3,000 a month or whatever, and she's like, I think I want to go make, I want a part-time job or whatever. We're going to jerk that money away from you.
They incentivize them not working.
Yep. So they have that fear of the loss of the money, so they never try to better themselves, so they're never able to move out of where they're at.
And that's
called the wrong side of the tracks.
And they don't want a man to move in.
Yep.
Because they can't, because then they're going to lose money. It's a system that they have set up to create a just slave factory. It's insane. It's just goddamn insane. Now, again, I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, hey, Scully, well, what about the Republicans? I don't give a shit about the Republicans. The whole point of government is to stay out of everybody's fucking business. The African community was doing a hell of a lot better until the Democrats started getting involved in what is going on in their lives, because they can handle themselves just fine. They don't need some fucking white woman from the suburbs, or not even the suburbs, some white woman from pick your college to come and rescue them. It's just it's pathetic.
But that's it exactly, right? What people are like, what's my government going to give me? I want them to stay off my fucking back. I heard somebody say that the other day, and I'm like, that's it exactly. I don't want them to give me anything. I want them to just stay the fuck away. I don't want to see them. I don't want them on my property. I don't want them flying drones over and assessing the value of shit that I've done on my own property that I own. People are like, well, we own this. Do you really think you own your fucking car? You pay registration for it. If you don't pay it, they will send guys with guns, and enough fucking interactions, somebody will fucking come and drag you away and put you in a cage.
The reality is we don't own anything.
Correct.
And you
have to play their game.
If you want to know if that's true, whether or not we own anything, go after Bill Gates or go after Elon Musk. Go after anybody who actually has money. And when you go after them, what their lawyers are going to tell you, well, he don't really have that money.
Right.
That's corporation B, he don't really have that money. So it's and rich people know that.
And when you do try to push back and change things, they will use that. They'll come after you. They will use law enforcement against you.
Yep.
They'll use zoning against you. They will come and try to ruin your life.
Hey, speaking of ruining your life, I wonder why the New Mexico.
I was going to bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't quite work out like she thought, but I don't think it's over. And I also heard she doubled down and pulled some more shit. What happened?
She did double down. I didn't listen to it because it's all bullshit. But okay, here's the problem. The problem is we're really kicking their ass in the courts.
Okay, the 11-year-old that was shot. What were the circumstances of that?
I don't know. I don't know the circumstances.
All I heard is an 11-year-old was shot.
It doesn't matter.
Who shot him? How was he shot?
Yeah,
was it in the house with the? I mean,
100%.
What I'm getting at is
doesn't matter.
It's not a lawful gun-owning citizen that shot him.
Well, again, I have total sympathy for the family.
Absolutely.
And unfortunate incident of what happened, but you don't fix a problem that you are not trying to fix because they're not trying to fix the problem. No. By infringing on the rights of people who had nothing to do with it.
She was super fucking crazy over the COVID shit.
Yeah. So yeah, here's the thing. If your child, unfortunately, was tragically killed in a gun homicide in New Mexico, that was because she wasn't doing her job in the first place. That's because law enforcement wasn't putting people in jail and keeping them there. It's 100% factual that gun crimes, when you catch people who commit gun crimes and you keep them locked up in jail, that the numbers go down. So she wasn't doing her job in the first place by keeping this community safe. And because she's a crackpot Democrat, she thinks, oh, I'm just going to create a health emergency and no one can carry guns. You don't have that power. She actually broke the law.
This is the same lady that had checkpoints at all of the interstate exits coming in and out, and they were checking to see if you...
I don't know.
Yeah, they had travel passes. They locked the fucking interstates down.
From a
mandatory vaccines.
Law enforcement perspective, if your governor sends you out to check people's papers, you might want to review history a little bit. That never ends well, especially not for you. But from her perspective, she broke the law. Now, people are coming out and they
came from
like
multiple states.
Yeah, like the sheriff's department came out and said, "Fuck you, we're not going to enforce it." Blah blah blah. It sounds cool, right? You're like, "Thank you, sheriff's department, for doing that."
Yeah, you saw it happen.
But what did she do? She doubled down. What the sheriff's department really needs to do
is arrest her
for breaking the fucking law. Take her down, book her. Yeah, she's going to get kicked out. She ain't going to spend 24 hours in jail, but she's going to have to defend herself in court for the crime that she committed, and they won't do it.
The problem is whoever she's bought by also bought all those judges that it would take to prosecute.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The issue here is we have a government. We have a federal government system where there are no repercussions. The federal government can do whatever they want. They can infringe on any rights they want because there are no repercussions, because no one, not fucking what's his name from Florida? DeSantis. None of those guys will actually stand up for the Constitution. And when I mean stand up for the Constitution, require people to be fired at the FBI, required people to be set free at the DOJ because of their violations of the law. Anywhere else, that would happen. But because the federal government has become so corrupt over the last, 15 years, 20 years, become so corrupt that now you have all these smaller politicians, these governors, who think they can violate the law too. Because again, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, who should be the one going down there and being like, Well,
the DOJ.
I know.
The DOJ is the reason this is happening.
The Department of Justice should be the ones down there arresting her and booking her for violating the Constitution. I get it, John, but what I'm saying is
right there with
the only reason why she's doing it
is because
because there's no consequences. You
Well,
can do whatever you want.
The only reason she's doing it is because of the last fucking 2 years.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, because it's all about.
You're going to see this escalate.
No, it's not going to escalate.
You don't think so?
Nope.
You don't think you're going to see more of them trying this?
Oh, they make more fucking local. That's what I'm saying. It's trickling down. Yeah.
What was the double down when the sheriff said?
I don't know. I can't even.
Because you had how many people showed up? You had people come in from all over the place. They had this big, showing up with guns kind of thing, right?
you're fucked. Like for her.
Yeah, she's impotent.
But you're fucked when she's doing an interview with CNN and CNN's like, man, yeah, you might have fucked up.
Well, David Hogg came out
I
speaking
know.
against it.
And you know what?
Wonder what Michael Myers or whatever.
I have all the respect. Here's the thing.
What's that slob movie maker? Michael did Bowling for Columbine and shit.
Yeah. I don't know his name.
Super anti-everything American.
Yeah. Michael Moore.
I wonder what his position on it is.
Who cares? He's never had a good position in his life. I will say this. For David Hogg, mad respect.
Yeah.
Mad respect, because usually when you are a crazy ass liberal, you're a crazy ass liberal, you will follow the party line all the way to the gas chamber.
Well, yeah, he knows how this turns out.
Well, you will follow the party line all the way to the gas chamber. I have mad respect for, even if, again, I understand that he disagrees with everything, he wants gun laws and all that, but for him to leave the party line and expose himself like that, to say, hey, you crazy girl, you cray-cray, hey, awesome that you came out and said that. And I'm not saying that from we're going to go camping or nothing, but because I get it. He still wants, it hasn't changed his ideas about gun laws, but
I think he's just a crisis actor.
Well, here's the thing. Again, most people who are burning the torch, right? For whatever cause. It doesn't matter what you think the cause is, PETA, whatever. Most of those people who are burning the torch will burn the torch all the way to the gas chamber. They will burn the torch all the way to the gas chamber. They will put on a special armband and escort people to the gas chamber because it's what they believe they need to do in order to get their cause through. It's very rare for somebody who's burning that torch to put it out for a second and go, hey man, you went over the line here. That's like I tell people all the time. I go, the difference between me and you, the difference between me and most of your leftist liberals is I don't care who they're putting on the train car. I don't care who it is. If our government starts putting citizens into train cars to evacuate them or help them out, I will be there. I will be there to attempt to stop the government from being able to kill millions of people because they don't follow the current algorithm of what the government wants. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care what sexual orientation you are. It's fuck those people, because they're never looking out for Americans. So that's the difference.
How many more people do you think are like that?
I think there's a lot of people out there. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like that. That would, if let's say the Republicans sweep the Senate and the House and take the presidency, and Donald Trump, gets out his special wand and he's like, I'm president forever and you're going to do everything I tell you. And the first thing we're going to do is round up everybody who fucked me in the election. I don't like any of those people. Like if he's talking about rounding up Nancy Pelosi and doing some sort of, kangaroo court where we're executing politicians because of their stance on whatever. And Nancy Pelosi's a criminal. And Nancy Pelosi should have her day in court. But if we're going to do, Banana Republic executions of political rivalries or Banana Republic fake, like what they're doing with Trump right now, if we're going to do this shit and we're going to start rounding up people just because of their political beliefs or whatever, maybe he doesn't like people with orange hair and he's going to round up all the orange hair people. At that point, I become, an enemy of the state, I guess, because that's not what America's about. America is not about that. This should be a melting pot for everyone that wants to be an American. So, like, goddamn, even if they were rounding up communists, I'd be like, cool, round up communists. But if they're like, we're not even going to have trials, we're just going to execute them because they're then I would have to go rescue communists, because it's just bullshit. That's not what America's about. The court system, fortunately, has been working very well lately. So I don't know. I how many people are like that? I think there's a lot of people that would, if the Constitution in some way was, if they just come out and say, like, fuck it, you don't have a First Amendment, or you don't have this, or I think there's a lot of people out there like that. The issue is we're very comfortable, so the threshold has to be great.
It's weird that the people that scream the loudest about their First Amendment are also a lot of the same people that don't want the Second Amendment, and they don't realize they only have the first because of the second.
Yeah, you don't have. Here's the thing: there are no constitutional amendments.
Yep,
without the Second Amendment. That's the only thing that you have in place. It's the only thing that's in place to give you the opportunity to keep the rest of them.
You don't think that the feds are going to come after those people that were there protesting open carrying and carrying weapons in New Mexico?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because they don't have there wouldn't be a precedent, right? And I'll give you an example. The feds didn't go all swastikas and high boots on all those dudes in Virginia when Virginia had that big rally and all those dudes were walking around. I'm sure there was 1,000 undercover feds that were like, hey, it would be cool if you guys stormed the Capitol building. I'm sure there was a bunch of those guys, but I don't think so. I don't think that the feds want to even get involved in that mess. She opened a can of worms that nobody wants.
You think she was on her own? You don't think she was?
Oh, I am sure she called 50 people to counsel. But again, this is the thing that the Democrat Party likes to do.
I'd like to see Mil-Spec Monkey do a thing on what aircraft flew in there within the couple days ahead. I'll bet it's there.
This is what the Democratic Party does, and I'm surprised that people. I'm sure people in the organization understand it, but I guess it's risk versus reward. Is what the Democratic Party does? The power brokers, the real people who hold the power in the party, they always find an outsider that's playing the party rules, but it's outside of the power brokerage, and they'll be like, hey, it'd be cool. It'd be cool, Jesse. It'd be cool, Jesse, if you told everybody that some Trump voters tried to hang you. And we'll bring you in the fold once that's all done. They always try and push that. Like, same thing with this lady. I am sure that got bumped all the way up to the power brokers, and they went, yeah, be cool if you did that.
Let's see what happens.
It's to see what happens. It's to see what the Democrats are always trying to see when it comes to infringements of rights. They always push it out there and be like, no. We're not trying to take your guns. And then they'll push something out. Well,
you saw that happen in New York. Was it New York, or was it in where Ian Smith Fitness is? I don't remember what state that was. But they said, hey, lockdowns. And the sheriffs came out and said, we're not fucking enforcing this. So the nightclubs and the bars and shit were still open. So the governor there, maybe it was Whitmer, I don't know who did it, but they brought in the state police, and the state police were more than willing to fucking crack skulls and arrest people over, not following the lockdown guidelines. But the sheriff, while the sheriff said no, the state police were more than willing to come in with shields and arrest people.
But that's kind of my problem with the sheriff's.
The sheriff should have been there arresting those police officers.
Loved the sheriff's department to death. For at least, when sheriff's departments do come out and they're like, hey, we swore oath to the Constitution, because everyone else did too. So when we think that sheriffs have some sort of like a specific tasking to protect the Constitution, so does the goddamn governor, right? So does the president of the United States. They all have a specific guide to protect the Constitution instead of doing what they're doing. And the problem is, it gets to that level, right? So it gets to the level where they're like, hey, you need to, whatever it is, we need to enforce this. And you have the sheriff's department that's like, no, I'm not going to enforce it. You have to have a reason, right? And if you have a reason not to enforce, then you also have a reason to not let other people enforce either. So the sheriff's department should have been standing there toe to toe with what, if they believed that it was right, then they should have been standing there toe to toe. And when the state police came, they should have been like, not your jurisdiction, bitch. Hit the road.
Am I free to leave? Well, then I'm fucking free to stay.
Yeah. Hit the road. Yeah. And until Americans start doing that, these people are going to continue to.
Do you think you're going to start seeing Americans do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that most of the stuff that you see going on right now, with that party, it's the death throes, right?
Right, which is why they're so dangerous.
It's the death throes. Are they dangerous? I don't think they're dangerous. I think there's a core group of individuals within that hierarchy that are really dangerous people. But what would they do? Their only fear is, the reality is, the Democratic Party's only fear right now is the Republicans take over, and then the Republicans seek revenge on those Democrats for what they were doing when they were in charge. Now, if you look at what the Republicans are doing now, they're not doing any of that shit. I mean, power subpoena. We haven't subpoenaed Hunter Biden. We haven't done anything that Democrats have been doing.
This bullshit impeachment thing. Let's have another meeting to see if we're going to impeach this guy.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, if the Democrats really gave a shit about anything, they would be the ones impeaching Joe Biden right now. Because
I think they want to.
No, they don't. Joe Biden. They don't want to impeach him. They need him. He's the scapegoat, John. It's the same thing with like Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein. They're scapegoats. When people are like, let's have term limits so somebody can't be in the Senate for 40 years. You guys don't understand. They're not grandfathered in. You could have ran a campaign against Dianne Feinstein. You could have ran a campaign against Nancy Pelosi. The issue is no one ran against them. No one ever ran against any of those people. That's why they've been in there for 400 years.
Elders thinks it'll be Kamala Harris next.
No, there's no way.
And he thinks it has to be because you're going to lose all of the female black vote if you kick Kamala to the curb.
No, Kamala's getting kicked to the curb. Even the Democratic Party is like, we fucked up. Because, the one thing about Joe Biden, and the reason why Joe Biden was nominated, is because they knew that his mental decline was so bad that it would really be Jill Biden and close representatives who would be running the government, not Joe Biden. He's doing exactly what his handlers are telling him to do because he doesn't have the mental capacity to do anything else. That's why they picked him, because he wouldn't be rogue, and they would be able to push through anything that, like, they could literally go up to Joe tomorrow and be like, hey,
did you hear
we're going to lock up.
Did you hear him saying some crazy shit? And the handler's like, okay, this is over with. And they cut all the cameras
They literally could go up to Joe Biden tomorrow and go, we're going to lock up everybody with blue eyes. And Joe would be like, okay, everyone with blue eyes is getting locked up. He don't know. Like, everybody within a square mile of Joe Biden should actually be charged with elder abuse, because that's what they're doing. They're abusing an old man who doesn't have the faculties necessary to run, the toilet, let alone the country of America. So that's why they picked him, because they knew they could manipulate him. Camilla, they thought Camilla would be able to work herself into a way that she would be looked at as the next president. But she is almost as bad as Joe.
It's like a Pauly Shore movie.
So she ain't gonna be the fucking. I wonder if they would even keep her on the ticket. I mean, maybe they'll keep her on a ticket. But again, when you have hit pieces written by the Los Angeles Times about what a fucking turd burglar you are, yeah, no, the Democratic Party does not like you, and they don't like her because she can't keep her foot out of her mouth. I mean, think about it. When you're the vice president, nobody cares what you say. Like the vice president. The vice president is the guy who stands in.
Dan Coyle had some stupid moments.
You know, the whole point of the vice presidency is for you to shut up, learn everything you can about what the president's doing, so you could make a run to be the president. She can't do any of that. She's not. I mean, I don't want to call her a dumb woman because she's not. She's not. She's smart. She is smart, but she just...
is she smart or is she conniving?
I mean, probably both. But again, she just doesn't have the capability to have rational thought about shit. And the Democrats they're not going to... I mean, it'll be hard to break the ticket up. When you break a ticket up, people like, what's up? But would it surprise me if they nominate the president and then throw in like Pete Buttigieg or something like that, right? Because how do you offset the
getting rid of the black lady?
Yeah, you bring in the young gay guy, right? I don't know. It's a crazy mad thing, and I know nobody that's a Democrat has watched this far because I am demonizing you, but again. Man, the party is not what it used to be. It is not. It's not, if you even carry a torch for Kennedy, that's not the party it is anymore. It's not that. That's not the party it is anymore. It's the party of robber barons. It's the party of all the things worse float to the top government.
We should just become robber barons.
I mean, we'd have to go somewhere where there's robber baron stuff to do, and the water and the food is terrible in those places.
It is not unthinkable.
It's not, but it's still the water and
then
food
we
is terrible in those places.
We could make our food and water better. You could set up Ford Town.
I don't think so.
Wherever it was. All right, I got to pee. We'll come back and talk about Hawaii. It's Marburg. It's a hemorrhagic fever hitting East Tennessee. They told all the kids to get back on the buses.
Yeah.
What time?
1 hour ago.
Why would kids be on the buses
They were telling them to get out and into the buses to go.
That's weird. It can't be an active shooter, right?
No, it was a shooting across the street. They were trying to get people away from the school.
A shooting across the street, and they were trying to get people.
And they're getting people to leave the school and get in the buses.
Why don't they put them in the school where it's safer?
That's what you'd think.
We're missing.
Hasn't anybody seen
something.
Invasion USA? The first thing the terrorists do is they put a bomb on the side of a school bus.
Invasion USA?
Yeah, Invasion USA with Chuck Norris, where he saves America from the evils of Russian invasion.
Oh, I'm thinking Battlefield Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, Invasion USA.
Did you see that one?
I saw that one, of course. That was a great movie.
What was the one?
Based off of me.
What was the one where they were in Hawaii and the guy kept lizards and he had to make a special helmet and they had to get the old battleship because none of the new battleships worked?
I don't remember.
Then they had to find the old dudes.
I don't remember any of the lizard part, but I 100% know what you're talking about. It was called Battleship, and it was a terrible movie.
That's a great movie.
It was a terrible movie.
They found the two old guys that could run the guns manually.
That is actual. That's an actual fact. That's the reason why they put it in the movie. Is when they brought the Iowa classes. I think they brought two of them back at that time. Sorry, I don't.
Man, I really want to buy a military ship.
When they brought the Iowa class, excuse me, Jesus, that donut is killing me. The Iowa classes out of mothballs in the 80s when Reagan refitted them.
That's because he brought the ghetto donuts.
They had to, they actually had to bring in retired gunner's mates from the 40s. I don't know if they were from the 40s. They might have been 50s Korea War time frame, but they brought in these retired gunner's mates that were in their 70s in order to run the guns because the Navy forgot how to run those guns.
For which movie?
not for a movie, for real life. When they brought those Iowa classes back on par in the 80s, they scrounged up to, old ass gunner's mates to show the Navy how to use those guns. And I believe, I may be wrong, gunner's mate, I hope I'm not wrong, but I believe those guys crewed on that ship the entire time they were still active.
So there's some battleships in different ports. I think there's one in Texas, right? That
there's one in Texas.
Into museums. And there's a ton of stuff that's like off limits.
There's one in Alabama.
But if you make friends with the old dude that kind of gives the tours, you find out that those dudes actually were on those ships, and they'll take you back in the areas that you're not supposed to go into.
Well, not the Texas. The Texas is super old. That's a World War I battleship. You got the.
Where's it sitting?
It's in Texas. It's sitting in a. I don't know if it's been refloated. I do know that they took it out of the water because it had some pretty bad rust, and they had to get in there and fix it all. But there's also the Alabama in Alabama. The Missouri, I believe, is in. Yeah. I don't know where the Missouri's at. I thought the Missouri. I wanted to say that the Missouri was in Hawaii, but that might be. Maybe the Missouri in Hawaii. Anyways, yeah, there's still some. Japan wants to actually make new battleships.
Good,
which would be awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, they're they're kind of a terrible. They're a very high maintenance and very high. It needs a lot of support. Like a battleship is just like an aircraft carrier. Ton of support goes into an aircraft carrier. Like when you see in the movies. Like, we're going to go to war with whoever, and they turn the aircraft carrier about, and they're steaming off into the sunset. There's
20 more ships.
Yeah, there's cruisers and fucking destroyers, and there's all kinds of other ships in order to protect that carrier. Because the carrier is, even though it's a high threat item, it is also still really vulnerable, and you would rather have you'd rather have a frigate or a cruiser get hit by an Exocet missile than a carrier, because that's the queen of the battlefield. So
what's an Exocet missile?
It's an old ass. I'm sure nobody even uses them anymore. It's a old ass anti-ship missile.
Comes in from the air or the water?
From the air.
So
but
torpedo's just a missile in the water, right?
Yeah, torpedo's just kind of a missile in the water.
So if it's missile, it's from the air, and if it's from water, it's torpedo.
Torpedo, yeah. Except, again, we go back to World War II. They did drop torpedoes from airplanes. I think we still do. I think I can't think of the name of that airplane. Sorry, Navy. I believe the Navy still has ships that, and you can, I got to get my weapons squared away. They can drop a torpedo from a damn Black Hawk. Really? They have anti-ship stuff that they can put on a fucking Black Hawk. So
I know people have bought those Navy ships and tried to make a go of it and refit them, and then they end up getting sold. And a lot of them, I guess, they end up in India somewhere. They cut them all apart.
They get scrapped.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It is super sad, but
it'd be cool to have one sitting in the backyard here.
But again, a boat. It wouldn't be bad if it was. It wouldn't be bad if it was sitting out here.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have all the water problem.
Right.
So if it was sitting out here on blocks, you kept it painted, which means you'd need some boats and mates, keep it all painted gray and shit. But it would last a long time out of the water. The problem is in the water. It's just again, anyone who served in the Navy knows it's a constant 100% battle to keep those things from rusting. Shout out to boats and mates and sailors everywhere. They're painting those damn things 24/7. Like they come back from a deployment, they go into dry dock, they pull those bitches out of the water and paint them.
If the brass needs polished, you
maintain it. You maintain it, and the Navy does the Navy does a great job of maintaining those vessels. Stuff didn't work. Shit would happen, but when you think about what you were doing in those vessels, the Navy did a good job keeping those things together. But I mean, they'll leave dry dock, You know, you leave dry dock and you're headed to Hawaii. You get to Hawaii, there's fucking sailors out there with paintbrushes painting that bitch. Like you just left dry dock. That's how labor intensive those things are.
What are they? I mean, isn't that just more like to keep people busy?
No. Again.
What's going on here?
I don't know. You broke it.
Oh yeah, my whole microphone's off the table.
Look at that. See, that's what I'm talking about. You need a boatswain's mate. He'd have fixed it already.
So what are they painting?
Everything.
Is it just like a little scratch, or
No,
they're covering over a shoe print, or
you can't let
because there's no way they're scratching that paint to bare metal.
Oh man, you can't. No, they're not. They're painting.
Sorry,
over
guys.
Paint. What's going on over there? It's just madness.
We had that midget wrestling event earlier this week.
Yeah, they're not. Again,
it's like painting rocks.
Is the chief making them polish the thing that needs to already be polished? To a certain extent, that is happening. Is the chain getting painted
to the point where
to
it's
the
not,
paint
it,
to
not
paint the chain
anymore?
To a point, some of that is happening. But to give the Navy credit is, again, saltwater is evil. It's the devil, and it's better to have 5 coats of paint over an existing piece of metal than to let salt water get to it. Because once it starts corroding, once the salt water gets on that bare piece of metal, the paint over it's not going to do you any good. So it's going to eat that metal underneath the paint. So that's why they constantly keep those boats painted. It's not.
What kind of paint are they using?
My guess is something with a lot of lead and.
Could we go buy it?
A lot of. I'm sure that the Navy's still using lead asbestos-based arsenic paint.
Could we buy the paint the Navy uses?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, probably. Why?
How's the guy bring it when he's painting? Does he have a 5-gallon bucket?
They're fucking using paint. I mean, again, I've been out of the military for a fucking long time.
Did you ever paint?
When I was on the boat, they were using goddamn paintbrushes like regular people.
Did you ever paint rocks?
Never painted rocks.
You ever see
never
anybody
picked up
paint
cigarette
rocks?
butts. Did I ever see? Okay, I don't think I ever seen anybody paint rocks, but I did see painted rocks, so rocks did get painted. But again, here's the thing about painted rocks.
I heard
here's the thing about painted rocks.
We painted them all, sir. Paint the other side of them.
No, here's the thing about painted rocks, John. When you hear stories, when a guy tells you a painted rock story,
I thought it's because he's in trouble.
9 times out of 10, he was a shitbird. That's why he's out there painting rocks, right? It's not like they're like, we don't have anything to do today. What could we do today? You know what? It'd be cool if we painted rocks. That
is the guy that burns shit.
No, that's a
real job.
Shit burning is
that an MOS?
It's not an MOS, but it's a rotation. It's a rotation. You don't just put that on one guy because that is,
Guys get sick from it.
Long-term effects, 100%. They have to. There has to be issues with burning poop with diesel fuel.
What is that? We're emptying the outhouses and we're putting the slush.
So
into a pit?
you basically, just like you've seen in the movies, it's a half of a 55-gallon drum that's underneath these benches. There's three of those in a shack. There's probably 6 shacks for a company, right? And so every day or every 2 days at night, I don't know why they always do it at night. I don't know if you have to always do it at night. I don't know. Anyways, those things would get pulled out, and a lance corporal with a terrible handkerchief over his mouth and his dress gloves. We never gave these. That's the other thing. The Marine Corps, when you're doing something that is 100% that people should look at and go, damn, that's some hazmat shit. Here's some hazmat stuff, so you don't have to get your shit covered in poop. Nope, no. They didn't give those guys anything to do that. But you pour in diesel fuel
into what?
Into the fucking, half 55-gallon drum. It's not a half, it's like a third or whatever.
So you're burning each individual one.
Yep. You pour that fuel in there.
How far do you got to drag it?
You have to drag it just far enough that you don't light the outhouses on fire because they are all
Is
made
this
out of
literally
wood.
a 55-gallon drum that we sawed in half?
It's
so there's no baffle. You get this shit splashed on you?
Oh, yeah. They get it splashed on them. Now they're pouring diesel fuel in it. Once the diesel fuel's in there, they have to mix it with a stick, and then they light it on fire, and then they have to stand there till it gets all burnt. So these unfortunate souls, whether I'm sure they, I say Marine Corps, but I'm sure they were doing it in Army camps too. These poor unfortunate souls, when it's over, like when they're done, they're covered in black ook. Like their uniforms are covered in black ook. They're covered in black ook. They smell like they've been burning shit. Like they're covered in this stuff. And then, they'll take that uniform off. They'll go take a shower. They'll come back. They'll put that uniform on because it's the only one they got. And they got to burn shit tomorrow too. So like, it's a military, let's put it this way. It's a military practice that has to be done.
Why?
Because when you're forward deployed, there's no facilities.
Don't you guys have an excavator? Can't you just dig a hole and bury it?
There's just too much, John. You just can't dig holes. You would be constantly digging holes, and then you'd be digging up your own shit, and then you never know where your shit is. It's just from a logistical perspective, it's easier to burn it. So it's a necessary evil for forward deployed guys. Like if, large amounts of forward deployed guys. If you don't have a lot of guys, then you can do the other way. But if we're talking company level, that's a lot of poop. You might not understand how much poop we're talking about, right? So they got to burn it. You would think that by now, because again, the military has been doing this since the dawn of time, right? When I went on that trip to Vietnam, and the Vietnam guy was showing me his photo album from Vietnam, and he's like, "Yeah, here's me burning shit." I go, "You're gonna be amazed, and you ain't gonna believe it, but we still do that." And they were like, "What? We're still burning shit? That's crazy." And I'm sure that some World War II veterans are gonna be like, "Yep, I remember burning shit." It's one of those necessary evils, right? And you would think because it is a necessary evil, and because the command knows that it's a thing that has to happen, that there would be some sort of kit that they would come up with where they're like, all right, every infantry company has this fucking hazmat kit for the dudes who are going to burn shit. The problem is it's so often and so much that it's one of those things that at the senior officer level, they don't really think about it. They're like, whatever, that's just the cost of doing business, and if a dude gets covered in poop, it's the cost of doing business.
So the dude still smells like diesel after he took a shower.
Oh, yeah, he smells like diesel. He smells like burnt poop.
Does he have other duties?
Yeah, he goes right back to work. That's just
What does he do?
That's just a thing you do at night, John. I'm just like, Willis, 17:30. You and those three turds over there are going to go burn shit. And you go, okay. And you go out and do it. And then afterwards, you look at everybody and you go, is the chow hall still open? Let's go get something to eat.
Before they shower? Where do they get the diesel fuel from?
It's just from the motor pool. It's just a 5-gallon can of diesel fuel.
Where does it come from that? How's it get in the gas can?
It gets
you guys have like a tanker truck with you?
Usually not that forward deployed. Sometimes you can, but usually that's brought. Usually that fuel is brought to you that way. 5-gallon cans. You do a lot of ready service out of 5-gallon cans.
You guys are using like the Scepter cans, the plastic ones?
Cans, yeah.
You like those?
Yeah, those are great cans.
Wouldn't you rather have the NATO ones that just cam lock?
No.
Why?
I like the NATO cans, the cam lock, but I don't know. I just really like the Scepter cans. I have the NATO cans.
But the Scepter cans
15
fucking leak. You got to use that band strap.
The reason why they leak. It's a long story, but the reason why they leak is because as guerrillas, we over tighten things because we think they have to be over tightened. And when we over tighten them, we're actually destroying the O-ring that's it's not an O-ring, it's a, what is it? Not a washer.
Yeah, basically it's a gasket.
Gasket. We destroy that gasket. And that's why those cans, like if you drop them on the side, they'll leak, whatever. There's a company that I go through, Jägermeister or something, but they actually make a fuel resistant washer or gasket. There you go. And in the plastic plate that's in there that presses against that, they changed that out. They've made an aluminum one, and I put that in all my cans, and I haven't. They've solid.
You don't smell any fuel?
No, they won't. They don't leak. I can turn them upside down.
Because I store them sideways.
Sideways, all that
on
the
roof racks.
Yeah.
What where are you getting your septic cans from? Never mind.
The internet.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get them well, actually,
because they sell the water ones like at Lowe's and Home Depot and shit.
They had that's where I got a bunch of
fuel
cans from,
but not fuel ones.
Not fuel, just water. Yeah.
Are you putting fuel in the water cans?
No.
I think they'd work if you put the gasket in there.
It's just a different setup.
Man, the NATO ones are so.
You don't
nice.
ever want to. Old story I learned from way back in the day.
If you do it, you're gonna know if you fuck this up.
From Peleliu,
back when you were using horses.
No, well, I think we still had horses. Marine Corps still has mules today
for high mountain.
Yeah, but again,
there's dudes coming back from that mule school making money.
There's a lot of people that work really hard in logistics and work really hard making sure that the troops up front get the things that they need to get. And there's the reason why in the Marine Corps, the reason why is because we had to learn a lot of hard lessons. And a lot of dudes suffered because of those lessons. And one of the lessons we learned in World War II is you can't really rinse out fuel containers and put water in it.
You're going to know it if you do.
You can't really do it.
Why? What happened?
Well, it just makes for a very miserable existence.
Did they know this was happening or what?
I think it was it. I believe it was Peleliu. They ran out of potable drinking water, and they didn't have the containers to put it in. So the ships started rinsing out. They started rinsing out fuel containers, and putting the water in the fuel containers and sending that ashore. And there's all kinds of stories of guys talking about, burning their throats and all that shit from the non-potable water. So, I would never cross-contaminate. Meaning, I don't want to say nerd about it, but I'm so nerd about it that if all I had was a 5-gallon water can, and I needed to get the fuel out of a vehicle to take back to my vehicle, I would actually figure out a way to drop the tank and drag the tank versus putting fucking fuel in that water can.
So,
because I can live without the fuel. I can't live without the water.
Correct, but you can permanently mark that this is no longer.
I'm not gonna.
Like even when I buy gas,
I'm not gonna do that.
I write on there with a Sharpie
the date,
and what's in there. Right? Is it non-ethanol? Is it ethanol? Was it diesel?
I don't even mix.
I get it.
I don't even mix containers. The septic tanks, the septic cans only get diesel. The yellow NATO cans only get diesel.
Yeah, I get it. I do it more for
I don't mix.
Employees.
Green.
Inevitably, somebody's going to have something else in there.
The green tanks
only
get unleaded.
Even my fuel cans, they say 32-1 or 50-1. So just in case.
I don't mix any of that shit. And outside of the apocalypse, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. And anytime you have more than a couple people, man, hey, go get fuel, get this fuel. You never know what that guy's going to put in that tank. You never know what's coming back. You don't, and if they're mixing your premix, you never know what they're going to mix it at.
Fortunately for me, John, I don't have those problems because when I'm filling up fuel tanks, it's me doing it.
Right. But when we had multiple people, you never knew what was going to happen, and inevitably something always happened.
Yeah. The only thing where I get where I get tricky or not. I mean, not tricky, but like I have like six green cans that I keep unleaded in, and that's just for the Razor, right? The Polaris. Is it? No, I don't have a Polaris.
You have a Can-Am. You got a Commander.
Yeah, it's just for the Can-Am and the lawnmower. And sometimes I'll get frisky and I'll get a can of 92. Sometimes.
Why?
Because I have this. Again, I know all the mechanics out there are going to be like, oh Jesus! I have this this old thing in my head that if you
higher octane,
if you run higher octane through your stuff every now and then, that'll clean out the farts.
So the Yukon it would kind of ping with low octane. So I'd put a tank of higher, like 91 in it, and the pinging would stop, right, on that 350 motor. The newer trucks, the Toyota, and even the Polaris, even the Razors, if you look at all the groups and you read what people are posting, guys are like, I put 91, and guys are like, it's not made for 91. Just put 87. The 91 actually burns a little hotter, and you're taking, until that motor is older and needs a higher octane, just run the lower octane.
On the Can-Am, I don't want to say I just saw this, but a little while ago I was filling it up and I was like, this says 92 octane on it. And I don't run 92 through the Can-Am. It's always gotten the low octane gas. Usually the high octane is going in the Subaru or the lawnmower.
You have a Subaru
Sandbar.
Oh, the mini truck.
The mini truck.
So I for years just bought the highest octane we could get, off the pump. And then people started being like, nope. And I think even Pierre said, only put that in the cars and the Range Rover. Don't put it, just put the normal stuff everywhere else.
Yeah. High octane.
Right on.
Yeah. So that's the spiciest I get. I don't get like even when you talk about mix, like
premix,
when you talk about, any oil that's mixed. And your chainsaw guy yelled at me about this, but I'm like,
you just buy the already made.
Holy mixed
shit,
chainsaw stuff.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, but I don't. Okay, again, if I was running a chainsaw business, then or if I was running a business that required the chainsaw, then yes, I probably would just do the math and work it out and make it happen. But that half gallon or pint of fuel that you buy, it lasts. For me and that chains, the application, because I use the electric mostly.
And in the way you're buying that fuel, it's in a metal can with a metal lid, and it's not gonna lose the octane.
I use that most. That's
whereas when we're mixing,
it'll take a year for me to use that whole can.
Where we're mixing in the 5 gallon, fuel cans for premix, I just run the shitty little 1 and 2 gallon cans because it's so convenient to buy the premix bottles.
Yeah.
The 1 gallon dose or the 2.5 gallon dose. You just put that in there, fill that can up, and it's ready to go. And then I write on there, when I put the fuel in and what's in there, the 32-1 or 50-1. Whereas when we were running dirt bikes that were 2-strokes, we'd have a cup. It was called a ratio right. And you'd put your cup in for how many gallons you were going to do, and it was all graduated on there. And then some of the premix companies came out. Like everything I ran was Maxim, or maybe it was Bel-Ray. I think it was Maxim Super M. But then these companies came out where you would push, and it would push it up a tube and give you the dosage, and then you would dose your gas can with it. But it's so simple to just buy. And anytime I need to get premix or
what do you have that needs premix now?
There's
besides the chainsaws.
Well, I got a YZ250 out there, that a fucking brand new YZ250. But just the chainsaws, really. That's what I have, lawn equipment.
Hey, that scooter that Brandel just bought,
the CT125.
Yeah, I'll bet he trained up for the 250.
He can't. He couldn't.
But he can't ride it.
No,
too much bike for him?
He can't ride a real motorcycle.
Too much bike. 250 still.
He don't know how to work a clutch.
I'm just saying. In a couple of months, he's going to be like, "I need some more power, bro. I need the power." He's going to be.
I've already thought of it.
Have you ever ridden a 2-stroke?
See, I told you.
You'd loop that motherfucker out.
I told you. He's ready. Before you know it,
You need a KTM Duke.
Before you know it, you're going to be dusting off that 650 over at the other place.
He should
be dusting that 650 off and bringing it over here.
I don't want to kickstart it. You should. That'd be a great bike.
Could
for
you? So a bike like that. I think about this all the time. I don't know why, but an old bike like that with a Kickstarter, is it possible to? This is going to sound stupid.
Put an electric on it?
Yeah, retrofit those so they can electric start.
So I have one that the XR 450 has an XR. The XR 450 has the lower end out of a 450 four-wheeler on it, and then they put the jug and did all the magic to it. And I have a little button that starts. Yes, the answer is yes. Baja Designs, I don't know if they still do. I'm sure there's some company. You used to take your Kickstarter off, and they had this thing that bolted on there, but it was a huge monstrosity. It was super heavy. But the way to do it is to kind of rig it up and get a four-wheeler with an electric start and do some surgery on the motor, which my 450 has. It's badass, but the 650 has not been done. It's an aluminum frame 650, water cooled. So if you're going slow, like when we take it out to the sand pits and go slow with it, it wants to boil over. You need to put a radiator. You need to do forced air KTM fans. There's fixes for all of it, but it's that Kickstarter, man. And some days my leg hurts, and some days it doesn't. And anytime my leg doesn't hurt, and I kickstart that motorcycle, my leg hurts.
Yeah, I'm not. Kickstarts are over, man. Those are dead. To me, if you're 15 and you got a kickstart motorcycle, I mean, you're cool.
You just have to make sure when you fall off of it, you have to make sure that you're uphill. Then you can just.
Well, that's what I was actually thinking. Is parking on a hill all the time, and then.
I think the first 2 years I knew Amanda, I don't think she even had a starter in her car. She used to and she wasn't like, "Hey, will you come help me start my car?" You'd just look out there, and she'd be running with the car and jump in it. And
that's the good old days. The good old days that kids your age wouldn't remember. Those manual cars, man, being able to get them on a hill and push them, start them. That's awesome.
First automatic.
Just it would be awesome. Hey, Brandel,
what?
You don't have to lie to kick it.
Amanda,
okay, we know that you're really like. I mean, 26 at pushing it. 26 is pushing it. I think you're like 23. So you don't need to. Yeah, I know you go through the History Channel and you watch all like the old shit, and you're like, hey, look, what's that thing on the wall? Ooh, they call it a telephone. I know, Randall.
I'll bet Brandel has a telephone. I'll bet his dad still has a telephone in there.
Yeah, but he didn't know what it was. He thought it was like a toy because he would turn the thing. It wasn't connected to nothing.
Amanda had I think it was primer gray or primer black. It was a
definitely primer
Toyota Corolla. I don't know what it was, but she had a giant smiley face painted on the hood with its tongue stuck out with a piercing through it. And I think it said porn star on the it said porn star someplace.
She knew how to get your attention.
And I'm pretty sure that it had like a hasp for a gate that folded over to keep the hood shut.
Yeah, I believe it.
When I took her out,
classic
when we went out the first time, I had to lift her into remember the big white Suburban with the 40-inch tires on it?
Man, I don't remember you owning anything white, but
yeah, it was white. It was huge.
I don't remember you owning anything
white. The tires were almost as tall as she was.
I don't remember.
Yep.
I don't. John he's had so many vehicles that you would think he had a lot somewhere. I just don't. It's always the Blazer out front.
Yeah, I miss the Blazer
sitting out front of the shop.
I miss the Blazer. That was a cool one.
And us getting in it, and John would be like, "All right, we're gonna go down to this place and get some coffee. My left brake doesn't work anymore."
That never did the left brake not work.
Left brake don't work anymore.
It had a SM 465 transmission, so it was a 4-speed transmission, but the first gear was a granny gear. So when you would start in first gear, the truck would lurch forward and then stop. And if you were accelerating to change lanes, because it had a locker in it, like a real Detroit locker, it would chirp the tires and kind of jerk you halfway across, right? So you had to have some clearance if you were going to try to pass someone.
I will say this, Have you ever seen? Man, I can't think of the name of the movie. Chuck Norris. He's a Texas Ranger.
Was it Quigley?
No, it's Chuck Norris. He's a Texas Ranger, and the bad guys, they catch him off guard. He'd been drinking. They catch him off guard, and they bury him in the desert in his Dodge Ram Charger truck. And he reaches, when he wakes up, he reaches in the back of the car and gets himself a brewski and drinks it up, and then starts his truck underground and climbs out of the hole with his truck. Just shoots out of the hole, right? Very Hollywood. Very Hollywood, but great scene. But John's truck actually did that once. Unfucking believable. If this is a great story, but it's a long story, but it's unbelievable. There's no way. I wish
it was on the way out to the missile base.
Yeah, the thing that sucks is, again, this was early 90s, so there was cameras, but there wasn't really I wish we could have got pictures of it, because I was like, no fucking way. It's done. We're done. We're walking back the 10
we were crawling.
miles.
We had gone through this riverbed, and the riverbed ended at a waterfall. But Mick had built this bumper for me, and I wanted the bumper made so that we could hit like this at an angle, hit a K-rail on the interstate, and have it pop the truck up enough that the tires would grab so that we could drive over the K-rail. And it worked on the waterfall. Like, we were able to, if I came up and there's just a 5-foot wall, I could hit it enough with that front bumper with the skid plate that it would bump the tires up enough in 4-wheel drive, and the tires would catch, and then it would pull us up. And it worked. Well, it's in the dark. I'd been down this trail a few times, but in the dark, we ended up someplace else once we got up there. And we're going up this hill, and the earth caved in. And the truck just fell in there in a sinkhole, just in the middle of the fucking
but it was
old military base.
We were going uphill.
Uphill.
So we're going uphill.
Truck's in the fucking ground. I roll the windows down, and I'm underground. I can reach up and kind of touch the earth, but the door's not open. The door can't open at all. So he's able to crawl out the other side.
I can get out the other side. There's only 2 wheels that are physically touching the ground. Okay? Half of his vehicle is smashed up against the side of this fucking hill, this hole that he's in. There's only 2 wheels touching the ground. And I'm not talking about 2 front wheels or 2 rear wheels. He's got 1 rear wheel on the ground and 1 front wheel on the ground. And I get out and I'm assessing. I'm looking. And I'm like, nope, you're fucking stuck. I don't even know how this happened. There's no fucking way you're getting out. It's not happening.
But we couldn't call a wrecker.
Fucking Rambo over here reaches in the back seat, grabs the slits, dumps it over his head, and he's like, dumps it over his head, and he's like, she'll crawl out. And starts, and tires are spinning and squawking, and nothing's happening, and it's just I'm like, fuck. How? Because, again, we went down he's sugarcoating it. We went down a bike trail. Half his truck, half on each side, all the way to where we were, was in the fucking bushes. Ain't no wrecker coming out there. No way would we'd had to find somebody that had a truck just as big.
We were on the backside of Camp Elliott too. We were on a military base.
We'd have to find a truck just as big that had a winch.
So for somebody to come rescue us, they would have had to have arrested us. Not
to mention, it would have been the next day, because we'd have had to walk back. It was already fucking late. And he's just like, nah. she's gonna crawl out. I'm like, there's no fucking way that truck is getting out of there. It's just, I mean, literally, I'm not kidding. 2 wheels on the ground, barely on the ground, soft dirt, and he's just burp, 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 burp. And then just like the movie, the truck goes out onto the road.
That was the night we got.
I was like, holy shit.
And then we end up, we weren't really sure where we were, but we knew we couldn't go back the way we came.
Yeah.
So we just kind of got up on a hill and saw some lights and assumed that's the way probably. And I'm not really sure where we were, but we ended with a security guard. We're on the inside of the installation, and he's on the outside. And we're like, hey, open the gate so we can get out. And he wouldn't open the gate. And I'm like, I'm just going to drive through the fence. And Jeff's like, no, the fence will pop. I'm like, the fence won't pop back up. We'll just hit the fence, push the chain link fence over, and we'll drive away. And he's like, I don't think he'll do it. So there was these poles. So I end up basically coming up to a concrete filled metal pole, and I couldn't get the turn. So I just powered it, and it pivoted around this pole, and the truck just pivoted around the pole, but it crushed the whole door in and broke the window and shit. But we got out, and that dude, he's like screaming and yelling, but like he wouldn't open the fucking gate.
Yeah, that truck was a beast. Like, it was a fucking beast. It just did unbelievable. So, did Brett do all that?
No.
I mean,
Brett did some of the work. Brett kept it running for sure.
I'm just talking about all the gearing and shit like that. Is that all?
No, we had to send that. I don't think Brett did gearing at the time. But Mick built the bumpers and all the other shit on there. That was a 85 Chevy Blazer.
What happened to that?
Is it 85? I bought that truck for gold. I know you. When I went to prison and I came home, it was disappeared.
Did she sell it?
I believe she gave it to Brett. But I never got the truck back. She said Brett had it. Brett said Brett didn't have it. That's what happened with all my tools. Same thing.
Got turned into something else.
Yeah, well, it's probably on some of Brett's trucks or something.
Got turned into something else. That's too bad. Because that truck, again, that truck was a beast. Like if they made a what's that damn movie with the car that's possessed by the devil that runs around and
well, no, Stephen King.
Stephen King
movie?
thing. Yeah, if they made one about a truck, it would be that truck. Because that truck just like if John after that day, if John was like, I think I can put the bumper on the front of the building and push just enough to get the nose to go up, the truck will drive up the side of the building and I'll be able to park it on the roof. I'd be like, yeah, probably. That truck could probably do it. That fucking truck was a beast. It's a fucking beast.
We used to jump the train tracks a couple miles down and across the way from the old shop, like when you get into Carlsbad or wherever there. We'd hit this thing and the whole truck would go up in the air. But we did it enough times that one time the steering wheel column broke. So you kind of had to hold the steering wheel up and you'd hear it sparking and arcing and stuff. So you'd have to kind of hold it and steer it. And eventually we got that fixed. That's a failure point in some of those old Chevys.
That was the interesting thing about that truck too, is everybody knows this person. They get a Toyota 4Runner or a Toyota whatever, and they put $50,000 worth of aftermarket shocks and struts and all armor on it, and then they wax it every weekend, and they never like. Anytime John would put something on the truck, like whatever it was, could have been a fucking side mirror. He'd be like, we should go out in the hills and test it, make sure it's going to stand up to the harshness of the wilderness. Like, at one time, I don't know how it happened. I don't know what the circumstances were. We were going somewhere, and old El Diablo here is like, we should just take this road. We should take this dirt road and see where it goes. And I was like, whatever. We ended up
in snow.
Like, we basically ended up close to where Leo lives, and I'm like, dude, we're nowhere near Oceanside. You know that, right?
It was snowing.
I know. That truck was a beast, and it was classic. I would put it right up there with the Datsun B210.
We would drive around out in Escondido and just find some dirt road and flush it out and be out in canyons and shit.
But it's one of those things, again, like that guy that buys the $50,000 Toyota Tacoma and drives on the dirt road. This fucking motherfucker, you'd be driving the dirt road, and he'd be like, I don't think this is going anywhere. And then there would be a mountain bike jump on the side, right? That would go over the road and then go down the hill, and then you would see the mountain bike trail cut through the Manzanita. He'd be like, Oh, we can make that. And just drive right.
But we'd always end up, you'd drive far enough, long enough, you couldn't get back the way you came, so you had to keep going.
Yeah.
So you'd be almost out of fuel or something would happen. So you'd have to drive through some field. And every time you drive through some field, there's a crazy woman attached with it, and she wants to chase you down. Like, we had a woman chase us all the way from Escondido back to the shop because we drove through a field. There was no choice. We didn't damage anything. We didn't, and almost every time, like, we'd come up to locked gates, and you just get out and start spinning the combination, and usually they would open. And a lot of times if they don't open, there's always a way around the gate. The gate's just to keep lazy people from driving down that trail. But
Guy with this expensive Tacoma.
But yeah, I have one of those. I mean, there's no scratches on. Well, there is after we put some scratches on it last week, I guess.
What'd you do?
Went out to Urban Export.
He did the same thing that you're talking about. He went, like, we've gone back here before. And instead of reversing out and trying to find the easy way, he just started driving over metal beams, everything. Wow, flying through. And he's like, yeah, this works.
Did.
It did. It got us where we needed to go.
There's a giant fucking abandoned building, and we found 2 ways into it.
Nice.
When we went to pick up the Schwinn exercise bike.
Did you get any footage?
Of him scratching his entire car?
Yeah. Man, that's the footage right there. That's the footage.
We'll redo it.
Yeah, redo it. Let's do it.
We pre-ran it. We know we can do it now.
We'll pre-run it.
Well, with John, he likes to pull up and go straight through without thinking about it.
Yeah.
No, I thought about it. It just looks to you like I didn't think about it. All right, well,
it's Patreon.
We'll cut this off and we'll jump over to Patreon. So if you guys aren't on Patreon, you can be. It costs $5. SOE Tactical Gear on Patreon. That's where we do giveaways, and you guys come on there, ask questions, and we will build a custom video for you guys. You will see that once you join Patreon. These 3 rigs right here, we'll do the giveaway on Patreon. This is a stacked micro rig, FUPA dangler, slim padded H harness, and a hydro carrier. And the winner will get to pick between
this and that.
Yeah, you'll get to pick between Tiger Stripe and Woodland. And I think we'll pick 2 winners. We'll build 2 sets of that for you guys. So all you have to do is be a member of Patreon. You don't have to do anything else on Patreon. So
unfortunately, the regular public is just not ready for Marpat yet. It's not ready.
Does the Marine Corps still wear Marpat?
Yeah, but do you know the rule?
That they have to wear multicam?
No, so the Marine Corps, when the Marine Corps invented Marpat, it was so bulletproof that NATO was like, hey, you got to put on Coyote over that Marpat. You got to give guys a chance.
It doesn't meet the Geneva Convention.
It doesn't meet the Geneva Convention for you to be all fucking Iron Man out here. So that's why the Marine Corps had to go with the Coyote. So it was, that's why we had to waste all that money on sappy plates.
I heard they're dissolving the Marine Corps.
God bless Chesty Puller and the American way of life and the Marine Corps. But, I mean, they've ruined it. So, again, if Congress came out tomorrow and said, hey, the U.S. Army is going to absorb the Marine Corps, I love the Marine Corps. I love my Marines, every one of them. But the command has failed. The leadership in the Marine Corps has failed they failed the Marine Corps.
Do you think Trump would come in and fix it?
No. Trump ain't going to fix that. He ain't got time. The only thing Trump, hey, if you're listening, you need to get you some Marpat because you're going to have to be dodging and weaving because there's going to be some CIA contractors, some rogue FBI agents, some dude, Hillary Clinton might pick up a gun to try and kill your ass if you get elected president. So you need to be thinking about yourself. Don't worry about the rest of us.
All right, we'll see you guys over on Patreon. You guys like this song? Would you like to hear the rest of it? I bet you would.